All right, what up, my fellow diamonds? Welcome back to the Mind right here, and welcome to another edition of Who We Talking To. And as you can see right here, man, we have dug up a great gem right here, man, because I am sitting right here with one of the most legendary women to ever grace the screen right there, whether it's in adult films or whether it's on the big screen right there. I am talking to the wonderful, beautiful, the legendary Miss Ginger Lynn. Ginger, how are you doing today?
The crowd goes wild.
Oh, yes.
How are you, Patrick?
Oh, I am so great right now because I'm just like, oh, when I got in contact with you, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to be talking to Ginger Lynn, man. I watched this woman ever since I was a teenage adolescent, and now here I am, man. Like face to face is just, it's a dream come true, man. Like,
God. You are so sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I know, like I said, we had a little trouble with getting early because of time zone issues and things like that. But like I said, we got everything fixed out right there.
And I'm sorry, I said between the two of us, we had no idea what time zone we were in.
But because I thought when I messaged you. Yeah, because I thought when I messaged you, I put like Central Standard Time because I live here in Texas, so it's like where you're at and where I'm at, we're like 2 hours apart. Yes, so
right.
So when I got that right there, I was just like, I was just like, man, I wonder if she thought it was like noon her time right there because I was just like, I probably forgot that because but anyway, it is so great to be with you.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah. So anyway, to start off right here, my first question is all right. So you're mainly known for being in the adult industry, right there. Shooting a lot of films, especially back in the '80s. So how did you get started in that whole entire process?
I moved to California from Illinois, and I managed a record store at the time. Mm-hmm. And I thought living in California was going to be like it was on TV or in the movies. It's sunshine and beaches and bonfires and everybody partied all the time. We just had this wonderful lifestyle. And I moved out here, and yes, they did have that lifestyle, but they also had money so that they could live that lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't making it managing a record store. So I answered an ad in the paper, got in touch with an agent, and the next day I posed for Penthouse. So that was the beginning. And for about 3 months, they kept asking me to do commercial. And initially I thought commercial meant toothpaste. Mm-hmm. And commercial in the adult industry means live sex. A commercial scene is a sex scene. And I didn't have any interest in it at the time, but I was very naive and wasn't familiar with it that much. So it took a little time, and I met this woman one day who shared her story with me, and I went back to my agent and said, okay, I'll do it now. And I've been working ever since. I've gone from the adult industry into B movies, into A movies and television, and a little bit of everything here and there. I've been a very, very fortunate, lucky girl.
Oh man, like I say, and we've been lucky. I'm saying be along the way, especially when I basically got started and I started dabbling in the porn, being that little teenage kid finding his brothers out there, Naughty Mags or the VCR tapes. Cause like I said, this is back in the '80s, so this is back in the VCR days. So
yes. Yes. Do you remember any of the movies that you watched, or were you were just interested in the sex?
I remember some of them, like I said, out of all my favorite movies that you basically did right here. I know this is gonna be wild. The best one I've ever basically seen you in was Taboo 4.
That was a really good film. I haven't seen it. I don't watch my stuff. So I'm not sure, but I know that the film was done very well, and that's a great one to grow up on. Did you learn how to eat pussy really well from watching my movies?
Well, like I said, like well, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 17 years old, but it's like, yeah, you rest assured, I picked up a whole bunch of pointers. So,
Right,
so
right.
and like how you said, well, like with Taboo 4 right there, like that was more than just like just like a porn to just like jack off to it. Like that was an actual like good movie. You can watch that from beginning to end. Like yeah, there's sex in it right there, but everybody in this, they're playing their roles so good. It's just you can't help but just like watch the whole entire thing, especially like
Yeah.
you and Karen Silverman, but may she rest in peace, man. Like
Mm.
y'all just click together in that thing.
I had such a good time in the adult film industry. I was 20 when I got into it, and I kind of grew up in
Mm,
the porn business,
mm,
and I wouldn't change it for the world. I did a lot of films that were shot on 35 millimeter.
mhm,
I got into it just before the VCRs hit. So the ones shot on 35 millimeter, we had scripts that were 120, 130 pages long. They were real movies. And it would say on page, you do the dialogue and do your scenes. And page 9, there would be a little note that said sex scene. And
mhm,
that was it. So it was up to you what you did with that sex scene. And out of the 69 initial films that I made, over 40 of them were shot on 35 millimeter with 100 plus page scripts, real actors. And then there was a lead up before you got to the sex. And
mhm.
as a woman, I know that I need that build up. Men, from what I understand, are much more visual. You guys can go just like that. But growing up and being in the industry in the 35 millimeter era prepped me for anything and everything else as well. It was a great training ground.
Oh man. So yeah, it's like so when you made it start, like when you did like your first scene and things like this. So how does it go? Like were you like really nervous, or were you like just so like like yeah, this is where I'm at. So like it's just like no problem. Like which one were you?
The first scene that I ever shot was not dialogue. We were filming on the island of Kauai,
Mhm.
and I had my first scene was with Jerry Butler. And if you've seen the movie Surrender in Paradise, I'm
Oh,
wearing this little red dress. That's my prom dress. That was my actual prom dress in the movie. And Jerry Butler was so wonderful, so kind, so sweet, and so fucking sexy that when we got on the set and we started the scene, I had no problem, no inhibitions, nothing at all that raised a red flag. I dove in head first, and mouth and pussy and ass as well, and just went for it and had the best time ever. The second scene that I shot that day was a dialogue scene, and I'm running along this jogging path, and the boom guy, the sound guy's got the boom, he's running behind me, and all I was supposed to say was, "Leave me alone." Patrick, I couldn't get the words out. It was as though somebody had saw my lips shut, and I was petrified and so intimidated by the microphone. And now I've just had full on sex, no problem. But
mm.
the microphone scared me to death, and it took me a while to feel comfortable in my dialogue. Never had an issue whatsoever with the sex. So I
Yeah.
guess I was born to be in it.
Yeah, because that's what I seen. Like, 'cause most of your sex scenes, you just like basically like you're just like born for it because you're just like into there. You're enjoying the whole entire thing, and I'm just saying, and the way I'm saying you're still beautiful now, and it was just like man, like you just seem like this gorgeous, sexy, tight bodied blonde and things like that. Beautiful hair, beautiful skin, and just like oh man, the dreams that many guys like me or myself have had about you and and we're just watching these movies any way that we can, like like
Right.
oh my god. That's what I said. So like sitting here and actually talking to you right now, like I'm saying, like, man, this is a woman I used to jack off to ever since I was a young teenager and things like that. And I'm sitting right here talking to it. I'm like,
And
wow,
is
I've
it
never
weird
seen.
for you? Is it uncomfortable for you
What, what,
at all? Or is it just
what-
what are your feelings as you're doing this? Because as you said, you came into your manhood watching my films.
Hmm.
And now here we are a few years later, or decades, however you want to put it. And I'm wondering what you're feeling. Are you reminiscing and going back to that blowjob scene from Taboo 4?
That Yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's like I'm seeing you right now, and I'm going back to, like I'm saying, like, like the mid '80s, early '90s, where I'm just watching, like, all this stuff right here, and I'm just like, man, that's what it is. And it's like I never ever dreamed that I'd be actually sitting right here, talking to you. Like I'm saying, like, this is Ginger Lynn. She's fucking real. It's like they're real, but you never expect yourself to be like like actually in a position where you can
Right
like.
there with somebody. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Mhm.
I totally get it. I totally get it. Well, I'm glad that you're comfortable, and I'm glad that you're able to go back in your mind to those early days when we were together. And is the fantasy better than the reality, or is the reality better now?
Oh, I'm loving the reality. Like I said, the fantasy
Okay.
is the fantasy is always going to be there. It's just that like
Right.
you never think it never happened to you, but when it does, it's just you try to be professional with things like that, but I just can't help you. I'm like, God damn, this Ginger Lynn. Okay,
I
so
love that.
yeah, sorry. So you like I said, when it comes to, like, the porn and things like that, you've been with so many good people and things like that, like say, Tom Byron, Jamie Gillis, Christy Canyon, and man, like say, like Karen, so many people and things like that. So who would you think, like, who would you say, like, your most best person to work with, like I'm saying, male and female?
Well, one of the things that a decision that I made when I got into the business was that I was only going to work with people that I was turned on by, that I liked their personality, and so most of my scenes, 90% of them, I like the person a lot, and so there's that turn on factor, and because you like them. But my favorites, uh, I can't pick one, but as far as men went, it was Tom Byron, Peter North, Harry Reams, Herschel Savage, John Holmes, and I'm sure I'm leaving out a few that were really good, but those were my top guys that I worked with.
Mhm.
And women, I loved working with all of them. And I had this thing that I used to do because I've always been attracted to men and women, always. And a lot of the girls that get into the business have never been attracted to a woman or had sex with them. And so I went to my agent and said, look, give me all the new girls because I
Mhm.
love what I'm doing and I can guide them and be with them and show them and have fun with them. And so the girls that stand out, even though I worked with all of them, obviously Christy Canyon, she's my bestie, always has been, and we're still going strong.
Oh yeah.
My favorite scene with a woman was with Barbara Dare in the movie Blame It on Ginger. And it's
Oh
in a
man.
bathtub, and it was one of those days where, when you're with somebody
Mhm.
and you just click, everything seems to it's like puzzle pieces that are just falling into place, and
Mhm.
that's how it was with Barbara. And she really liked women. A lot of girls in the industry are gay for pay, uh, and I've worked with those, but I really loved performers, actors, talent that liked what they were doing, not the ones that were doing it for the money, not the ones who were doing it for fame.
Mhm.
It was illegal, Patrick. We couldn't, we would shoot. I remember one movie I was working on, and we were up in Big Bear, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of Los Angeles. And
Yes.
we were in this cabin, and it was an orgy scene. So there's like 10 or 12 of us, and we're with our partners and swapping around, and we're having a great time. And we hear that knock on the door. Police, open up. And all that was on the set besides naked people, there was a sofa
Mhm.
and a fake plant. You never saw a dozen naked people try and hide behind a plant or a sofa that quickly in their lives. It was so funny. We just spread and hid. And the police came and the director went out and talked to him or the producers. And I don't know how or what was said, but I do know that they left and we were allowed to finish filming. My guess,
Oh.
there was a little money exchanging hands out there.
Yeah, pay to look the other way. Like, was there a lot of that? Like, like back in that time, like, because I know, like, with with the adult industry, like, man, that was a whole lot of huge things basically going down. Like, and like, many times where the police, got involved in things like that. Because I know, like, you will, I'll say, I know you've answered this question, and you've been asked this so many times. So I hope you don't mind being saying, don't talk about it once
I'm
more.
happy to be here,
You,
Patrick.
but like I said, I'm saying you involved in one of the biggest scandals to ever hit the adult industry. And that
Uh,
is, yes, yeah, I'm saying, I'm talking about that is, the dreaded Tracy Lords scandal. I'm just like, oh my God, man. It's
mhm.
like to hear, like, see all the documentary and on all that about there, and then, like, also, to see your version about it. Cause I remember you, like, watching interviews of you on the Howard Stern show up until right now, where it's like, man, it's like you actually got into, like, like a little bit of trouble with that, right?
What happened? Yes, I did. When Tracy came out and said that she
Mhm,
was underage, everything shut down initially, and people that had her footage, people that shot photographs of her, all of that stuff just had to be taken down and swept away and destroyed. And I wasn't that involved in it at the time. I never liked Tracy, although I
mhm,
worked with her in about 6 films.
mhm,
She was very vulgar, very bratty, very full of herself.
mhm.
And so I didn't enjoy working with her. So I'm sorry, I had a little brain fart there. And okay, let me get some water. I think I'm
All right,
dehydrated.
all right, go ahead. Yeah,
So
because
what happened was I get a knock on my door
mhm,
another day, and it's someone from the district attorney's office. And this is a few months, 6 months, maybe a year after Tracy came out. And I didn't even have a parking ticket at the time. So I invited them in. Come
mhm,
on in. What do you need to know? And I was sitting there answering their questions, and I looked down, and there was a woman and a man. The woman was sitting next to me, and her purse was on the floor. There was a recording device in her bag. There
mhm,
was a cassette recorder, and that got the hair on my back went up, and I just went, okay, I better call my attorney. So I called my attorney, and he said, don't talk to them. What they wanted was they wanted me to testify on Tracy's behalf
mhm,
against 64 adult film producers. And I was raised, my dad and my grandfather were both cops. You don't
mhm,
cheat, you don't steal, you don't lie, and you don't snitch.
mhm,
You don't. And so I refused to testify. And then the U.S. attorney became involved. And they said, if you don't testify before the grand jury, we're going to make your life really difficult. So I went before the grand jury, and they had photos taken from like behind the trees on a movie set. I recognized some of the sets because I was
mhm,
on them. And I went before the grand jury, and I saw these photographs, and I have a really bad memory. I couldn't recognize anybody. I didn't know anything. I know nothing. And that was it. I thought it was over. 5 years later, to the day, I get a phone call from my attorney saying, you've been indicted. You're facing 6 years in prison. I'm going, what? Why? What? For what? What they did was they were so angry that I wouldn't help them. And I was a big part of
mhm.
that case. I could have made it or broke it. Uh, what was I just saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're talking about, like, at the point right there where you wouldn't testify on Tracy's behalf, and now they indicted you, talking about,
Oh,
you
they indicted me, and they charged me. What they did was they spent those 5 years in between the first phone call and the second
mhm,
investigating me. There was a man who was paid for 5 years to watch every movie I ever made, read every interview that I ever did. What a great job. 5 years of just watching me fuck. That was his job. Uh, and I was charged with willfully subscribing to a false tax return, which I'm like, what does that mean? And evidently, if your accountant does your accounting and your taxes for you,
mhm,
and you don't make sure all of the information that he put in there was correct, I'm in trouble. I just did he did my taxes and I signed them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was involved in a lot of it. I had some bad shit that happened. I was charged with one count. I received 3 years of mandatory drug testing, 3 years of probation, and 750 hours of community service. So it was a pretty big, I didn't go to prison, which was great, but within that time period, I fucked up. I partied. I did blow. I did cocaine, and I got caught. And so I actually went to prison for 4 months and 17 days for violating probation, not for anything that I had done, but well, obviously I violated probation, but that's how I ended up there. And the whole thing was just ugly. Everybody in the industry was so kind, so nice, so sexual, and she brought so much drama and hatred and angst, and she's just a nasty, nasty person. Uh, and I'm free and clear today. Everything's all good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was quite an ordeal at the time.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, that whole entire thing basically went down. Like in the end, like she suffered no consequences whatsoever. It's like,
Nothing.
no,
Absolutely nothing.
and it actually made her career. It's like like, oh yeah, the girl I'm saying, who was underage in the adult industry. Now all of a sudden I'm saying she went on to have this, like I'm saying, like lustrous career that she basically had right there. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, it's like when all like all this whole went down, it's like the police they basically used her to try to take y'all down, and when they couldn't do that right there, it's just like, okay, what about the person that actually got all this started? Like, what I'm saying, what do y'all, because like y'all didn't even know any of this. I'm saying y'all didn't even know she was underage or nothing like that because
No, I never questioned it, Patrick, at all.
Mhm,
There wasn't one iota of me that went, ooh, something's wrong here. Nothing. I did a film with Tracy called Kinky Business, which was
mhm,
a parody of Risky Business. And I was in the shower with Tom Byron doing a blowjob scene. And we finished the scene. And I look out the window, and Tracy was on the diving board, and there was a line. People that she was doing a gangbang with the crew on the movie set. There was no shy, quiet little girl that was taken advantage of. She
mhm.
loved to fuck. She loved to be the center of attention, and she did. She did it.
Yeah, because I'm saying when you look at like all the interviews she had right there, she quickly flipped it around like she was the victim. And but when you hear and see the whole entire thing of everybody basically talked to her, they were just like, oh, she just had this whole entire thing around her where it's like, yeah, there was nothing shy around her. It's like everything that she basically did, like she wanted to do. So I'm just like, how does something like this happen? And then she just goes unscathed. It's like that was just the wild
Unscathed.
part. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it was for us as well. I didn't
Yeah.
understand because no one knew. No one did anything against her or put her in a position. She's the one that chose to be there. She's the one that
Mhm,
chose to do everything that she did, and she should have been the one that was. I should have taken responsibility for what she did.
mhm.
Whereas instead, uh, she walked away with nothing happening to her,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of people whose lives were altered and changed drastically. People, I have one
Yeah.
friend, a photographer, that ended up in a loony bin for a while.
Yes, I
You
heard about that right there because
know, yeah, it was
I
Ron
could,
Vogel was his name.
yes, like I can just imagine what that dude's like. 'Cause I'm saying, like people just got, because they got it in their mind and things like that. Like, oh man, like we've done things, we've done sexual things with her, and she wasn't of age. So you just imagine what that does to a person's psyche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
So,
Um, but I don't hang out with her, so it's okay.
yeah. So it's like I'm glad, like I'm saying, like you got past that right there. You know what I'm saying, and you went on to have such a great career, like I said, in the industry and outside of it, which like I want to talk about right there. So like so you started out in the adult industry, and then you just like slowly maneuver over to like in like main films, basically most of them being like B-rated film. Like you did things like
Right?
in Young Guns too. You was in things like Yeah, like the Devil's Rejects 31, which like my friend, which you was talking to earlier, he said like his two favorite movies are like the Devil's Rejects and 31. So like, what was it like working with, like, especially like with Rob Zombie?
I was such a fangirl. I was so nervous and so excited, but I was also so prepped and ready for it. And I was supposed to be a different character in The Devil's Rejects. I was originally cast as one of the two couples in the hotel room.
Yes.
The girl has to wear the face mask or somebody else's skin on her face, and she's running. That was the character that they cast me in. But two weeks prior to filming, I blew out my knee, my ACL, my MCL, and my meniscus. So my agent called and said, Ginger can't run. She can't do that scene. I had a cast from my thigh down to my ankle. And Rob wrote the scene in with me and Sid Haig. And it's one of the most recognized scenes and loved scenes that Rob has ever shot. And working with Sid Haig was wonderful. Rob was,
Oh,
as a
man.
director, phenomenal. He had his vision. He would talk to the actors. And then right before we started shooting, it was, all right, this is what I'm looking for. So if you want to improv, if you want to do this, go ahead and go for it. Keep this in. And he really let us create our characters and develop them and connect with each other as actors. He was and is the hardest working man in Hollywood, in my opinion. So wonderful. Sherry is amazing as well, and I'm so grateful that I was able to work with both of them to be in, and Sid Haig and Bill Moseley and Richard Brake from 31. I have met some of my favorite people in the entertainment industry. I've made friends with them because of doing The Devil's Rejects.
Which is like one of the best films that you've ever been in, right there. Like
I'm so proud of that.
yeah.
So proud.
So also, like I said, besides working in front of the film, you've also done work behind the cameras, right there. So what I'm saying, what was that like as well?
I've done some directing. I've done a few things producing, and I had a good time. I'm a very creative person, and I love the process, and I love putting all the pieces together. But I'm much better at being in front of the camera than I am behind. There's too much responsibility behind the scenes, behind the camera. When I go on as a performer, as an actress, I've worked on my character, I've developed my character, I know my dialogue. I stopped making adult films, got into the mainstream industry, and what I did was I went to school right away. I stopped doing porn and I signed up for the Beverly Hills Playhouse, and I studied there for 6 years because anything that I do, I want to be the best that I can be at whatever it is I'm doing.
Oh, I
And
feel
in
you right
front,
there.
yeah, and being in front of the camera is it's one of the very few things that I do where I'm not thinking about something else. I am so engrossed in the film and in the character and involved, and that I become that character. I think the way that person does, and it's my biggest high ever. My adrenaline is just flowing. I love it so much.
Oh yeah, and I love it too, right there. So it's like I said. So besides like my favorite porn that you basically did is like like Taboo 4, and the favorite movie that you basically did right there was like the Devil's Reject. You also dabbled in I'm saying voice act, well not voice acting, but video games like right there. One of my favorite games right here. We was talking about it earlier. Wing Commander. Oh my God, man, that game
Oh,
right there.
here,
Yes.
let's show everybody. This is the tin that if you purchase this big deluxe tin, you got the DVD or what are they? DVDs? No, or CDs that they were printed on. But there's a book in here and a poster, and I'm kind of a geek in certain ways. Like collect and save everything from every movie. I still have most of my original contracts from doing porn, and they're my memories, they're my life, and they're tangible objects that I can go, oh, this is from that period in my life, that day, that event, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I
Oh
apologize if
yeah.
I'm a little off today. I think I'm dehydrated. I'm a little off.
I'm saying we forgive you for everything right there. So yeah, so in Wing Commander, you played Chief Tech Rachel Coriolis, and not all that you also played like one of the love interests to like the character Christopher Blair, which was played by Mark Hamill.
Mark
So it's like
Hamill.
what was it like working with him?
Mark was really nice, but we had an incident.
Mm?
We've been filming for a week or two, and in the game, the leading man, Mark Hamill's character, you get to choose which girl he ends up with, which girl he
Yes.
kisses, and so we shot almost everything else, and it was the day that we were supposed to shoot the scene where we kiss.
Hmm.
And one of the production people came up to me and said, "Can I talk to you?" And she took me out into a stairwell, and she was nervous and uncomfortable, and she said, "I am so sorry about this, but Mark is refusing to kiss you until you can provide an HIV test." My heart dropped. First of all, it was ignorant. You can't get it from kissing somebody, but it was still new. And I was so embarrassed. I called I started crying. The knot came up in my throat, and I called my
Mm,
agent and I said, they're demanding that I do an HIV test, which I didn't have a problem with that,
hmm,
but it wasn't the right way to handle things. And so my
hmm.
agent said, "Don't worry about it. We've got it covered. We're going to demand that Mark gives you an HIV test." He didn't like that. He didn't like that at all. But you know what? If you want me to have one, I don't know where the fuck you've been. I test.
Yeah.
I know where my body has been, and I work with the same people all the time, whereas most civilians are out fucking around with everybody. So I took the test. We were shut down for 2 days that we couldn't film because of it. And I loved the character. I loved Rachel Coriolis. I loved the game, even though I could never get my ship out of the dock. I would go and just fall off the edge
Hmm.
right away. uh, yeah, it was hysterical. But with Mark, um, I don't know whose idea it was, but it put everybody in a very uncomfortable position. So my memories of working with Mark aren't my favorites.
Okay, so I have a friend right here. Like, this is one of my friends and fellow YouTuber Adonis Paul. Like, he has a question for you, right quick. Hey, P, what's going on?
Well, I don't. Hey, how's it going, man? I don't think I had a
Uh,
question as much as I just wanted to give a compliment, say
mhm.
Uh,
hello. It just hit
hi.
me. It just hit me that the character you were in Devil's Rejects. I love you. I love your part in that movie.
Oh, thank you,
You're
Fanny.
you're the good-looking woman with Captain Spaulding before he woke up. You the good ride before he woke up, and then the bad ride. Like that he was. But you were in the dream, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I was.
you
The
were
whole
the
thing was
dream woman.
his nightmare.
And then he woke up into his nightmare, right? Well, I mean, you killed him, and that's even better. That's even
Right?
better. Just want to say I loved your character. The only things it's a big world, and I only see a little bit of it. So I know Devil's Rejects and Taboo 4, but both of those things
Mhm.
great. And it's a real pleasure to meet you today. Have you ever talked to a cartoon?
No, I haven't. It's my first time. I gotta tell you, I'm getting this wonderful energy from it. I'm loving it. I've never talked to a cartoon, and now I want to do more of it.
Well, they don't let good late night hosts in the real world anymore. I don't know if you've seen Jimmy Fallon.
I have. You know what? They don't let comedians be in the world anymore. You can't be a comedian these days because everything is so fucking politically correct, and you don't know what's wrong. I love
That's
doing shows like this where, people are real. I'm so sick of the whole cancel culture and the woke culture, and I probably sound like an old woman saying, "Get off my lawn."
No,
But
that's
we feel you there.
yeah.
what happened to being able to have a conversation with someone and having your own opinion, your own thoughts, your own who you are? I don't want to be part of this crowd. It really throws me off and it makes me uncomfortable. So talking to a cartoon character is a blast.
It sometimes can be more real than talking to a human being in Hollywood.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to say that I love your roles that I've seen. It's a real pleasure to talk to you today. And for the
Thank you
rest of
so
my
much.
life, whenever we watch that movie, I'm gonna say, "Hey, I know her. I talked to
Yeah,
her." I think
exactly.
in Hollywood, you guys say, "I can get to you. I can get to Ginger Lynn.
Well, and I got to tell you,
Mhm.
Dennis, you've got bragging rights right now. There are
Oh,
very
man.
few things that anyone can say. I can't say this is my first time on many things anymore. This is my first time interacting with a cartoon character. So you can say that you had me and you were my first.
Oh, I love you.
That's our
And
AP.
And you'll
my,
always
I,
remember me too, Ginger, because I
I
took
will.
that
And I
cartoon
just want you
cherry.
to, it's you and me, baby.
Take it easy, Pat. This has been great. Thank you very much.
All
And
right,
thank you,
man.
Ginger.
Thank you,
Thank
sweetheart.
you, thank you so much, man. So that's my boy AP. I love him to death, right there, man. He's one of the wildest people I've. Okay, so back to Wing Commander, right there. Like I say, playing the whole entire character right there. So it's like, you like, did it just come natural to you? Cause I remember when I first played this game right here, and all of a sudden it got to your part where y'all introducing yourself, and I'm just like, wait a minute, she looks familiar right there, and then all of a sudden I had to right there go, oh my God, that's Ginger Lynn. But of course, in the credit, they have you credited as Ginger Allen, so just like I got confused right there. Like, am I? No, that's actually really her. Like, I'm not
It is.
confused.
Well, what I did was when I got into the adult film industry, I thought I would make 2 movies. That would be it. No one would ever know. And so I used my real name, which is Ginger Lynn Allen. So
Mhm.
Ginger Lynn is the name I used for adult. And then when I do mainstream projects, I add the Allen in. I didn't get married. It's my real name, my original name.
Mhm.
And it's not meant to confuse people by any means or to deny anything that I'd done before. But Ginger, the part of me that's Ginger Lynn is that raw, sexual, uninhibited,
Mhm.
fun girl. And there's so much more of me than just Ginger Lynn. So I used my full name to kind of embrace all of who I am and all that I do.
Yeah, and also back in that time, me and my friends, we used to have a little battle thing right there, like who's the sexiest, like you said, because back at that time it was like there was you, and then there was Amber Lynn, so it was like, oh, Ginger Lynn versus Amber Lynn, who's the best right there? I'm like Ginger Lynn all the way.
I love you. That's awesome. I don't watch my films, but I don't know if you've heard of an actress named Rebecca Lord or
Mm.
Rebecca Love. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Rebecca Love.
There's also a Rebecca Lord. So I that was a slip of my tongue there. But Rebecca Love, I was over at her house day before yesterday, and I brought 20 of my DVDs of my films, and we spent the afternoon watching me fuck. We watched a bunch of my movies, and one of them was not Taboo 4. It was Trashy Lady. And Trashy Lady, if you haven't seen it, it's so worth it. It's a wonderful, wonderful film. And Amber is in the movie. She plays a mob's girlfriend, a mob wife, mob girlfriend, a mob character's girlfriend. And one of the other mob guys meets me, and it's not that he's embarrassed about me, but he's used to trashy women, and I'm the girl next door. So Amber gets hired to teach me how to be a trashy lady. And I had so much fun watching this movie. Amber was phenomenal. The sex scenes were phenomenal. It was just so much fun. And Amber, she was fantastic. But when she got into the industry, the funny thing is, I won't tell you her real name, but it's something Lynn Allen. She has the same middle and last name that I do, which is
Oh my
really,
God.
yeah. What are the odds? What are the odds?
Yeah, because I remember the scene you're talking about, because it was you, Amber Lynn, and Tom Byron.
Yes. Yep. He plays the paper boy. I'm so glad you know the movie. It was a phenomenal scene. Phenomenal. You know what I realized watching my movies, like I said, I don't watch them ever, is in those days, the male porn stars, they had like normal, average, regular cocks. Whereas everything today is massive, and you've got to have it hanging down to your knee, and and I have to think and believe that if you watch me with someone that is normal, or the average guy's size dick, it must be more. It must be easier for you to watch that than watch me with somebody with a huge dick and think, "Oh, I could never do that." guys, I love normal sized cocks. I do. The big ones are fun for like a weekend or something, but not something I want to peg. So back then they were normal sized cocks. And the other thing that I realized that was really funny, oh, what was it now? Hold on, I'll get it back.
All right.
Dang,
No more
it's
cocks
gone.
versus no more cocks
But here's
versus
what I
big
did when
cocks.
big cocks versus small cocks, but there was something else. Oh, in the 80s in porn,
Mm.
the guys didn't walk into the scene with a hard on. You, as the female performer, you would watch me put a soft dick in my mouth and suck it until
Mm.
it grew and it got hard. And it made me think how funny it is in today's porn that everybody that fucks, they walk in and their dick's hard. They're ready to go. That's not real. No, very rarely does that happen.
Yeah, and most porn nowadays isn't like back where you like say, like it was the actual movie, like it had like cinema to it. Now it's just like a scene, like, hey, I'm this, I'm that, boom, they
Yep.
fucking.
And they have 3 positions. The director will tell them that ahead of time, I want this position, that position, that position, and then they move on. And something that I really dislike about today's porn,
Mm.
the girl doesn't get to come very often. The girl doesn't get her pussy licked very often. And I'm selfish. I want you to lick my pussy. I want you to work on me just like I'm working on you. I want that interaction, that passion.
Mm.
And it's not there in a lot of the things I see today. It's animalistic. I love that no matter what your kink is, no matter what you're into, what type of woman, what type of man, what type of anything you are turned
Mhm.
on by, you can find it in porn today. So that I love, but not the other part.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Also, like I was saying, like after you like you started out in porn, then you jumped into like mainstream for a little bit, but then like you came back, and not only did you come back, I mean you came back strong, like you started doing a lot of a lot of anal, a lot of interracial scenes and things like that. So what was it like? Because I remember like in your earlier years and things like that, I think you probably had like 1 or 2 anal scenes where you might have did and things like that. But this time I'm saying, you came back and I mean you were like anal hardcore. So like, that was
Double penetration. I did a double vag. You know what? What happened was I took 13 years off. And the main reason I got back into porn 13 years later was that I hadn't had a good fuck in like 2 years.
oh,
I got fucked a lot, but the my lovers, they weren't that good. They were very, and I hate to use this term, but civilian lovers. I wanted to get fucked and get fucked good. And so I made the decision to do the
where was I
comeback.
when this was happening?
Right? But somebody asked me once, were you nervous about competing with women that, were so much younger than you and you had done it 13 years prior? And I said, absolutely not. What I was worried about, what I was intimidated by, my only fears were that I wouldn't live up that to myself 13 years ago. So when I made the comeback, I had to be bigger and better and try anything and everything that I hadn't before. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, when you came back, like say, yeah, they started giving you a lot of MILF roles and things like that, and then it's like like it was an interracial that really got me because like I said, like back in the 80s, you probably had like 1 or 2 scenes like something like with like Billy D and then like with somebody else. I can't.
Tony LA. Tony
That's
LA.
that's his name. I can't think of his name right there, but it's like that right there, man.
And I have to tell you, back then, A girls, it's like the A girls, B girls, C girls, depending on how popular are or what you do or what you look like. But the A girls didn't do anal. They didn't do double penetrations. They didn't do you were the girl next door. And I was the first, as far as I know, girl that came in as the girl next door who not only wanted to, but did the dirty things. I wanted a dick in my ass. And it just didn't happen. It was unheard of in that period in time. So I kind of crossed some avenues that people hadn't prior to that. I'll tell you a little story. So one of the movies that I did for VCA, I'm going to come back. I helped write the script. And Shawn Michaels is one of my favorite people that I've ever met. And I wanted Shawn to play my leading man. So I wrote it with Shawn in mind. And I went into the producer's office one day. He goes, I need to talk to you about the script. I'm like, okay. And he said, Shawn cannot be your leading man. I asked him why. He said, because we can't have more than one interracial sex scene in a movie.
Like what?
And this was in 1999, 2000. And my jaw dropped. And I had to rewrite the script so that Shawn and I had one sex scene that was really good. And then there was another scene where we're on the plane and Julie Ashton plays the stewardess. And it's called a masturbatory flight. So she's walking up and down the aisles with things to masturbate with, magazines, dildos, all these different, things. And, what would you like today? And Shawn Michaels was sitting there with his pants down, and I had every intention. This is why I set the scene up this way. So he's supposed to be jerking off. It's a masturbatory flight. And I'm supposed to have sex with Julie Ashton. Well, just to piss off the producers and the people who put the movies out, I accidentally slipped on Shawn's cock and gave him one of the best blowjobs ever. Like, fuck you. I got in so much trouble for that. I like to break the rules.
Oh yeah. That's my Alexa over there reminding me to drink water. I'm not listening to it right now. I forgot to mute it. So it's like anytime they hear like a cough, it'll basically tell me that right there.
Oh, it tells you to drink water?
Yes.
That's too funny. That's your Alexa?
Yeah, it's to my Alexa.
Okay.
My Alexa over there. So
well, I drink about 10 bottles of water a day. I thrive on it. I love water.
Yeah, I get to. Okay, so like I'm gonna jump back to like the Wing Commander thing right here because I actually found like let me see if I can bring this up right here. I actually found like a little small scene right here, like
I lost your audio
on YouTube about this whole entire thing. Let's beginning. Okay, all right. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay, here we go.
This is so cool.
Yeah. So here it is, right here.
Yeah.
Chief Tech Rachel Coriolis, welcome to the victory, Colonel. Heard you're flying with Hobbs on this one.
You got a problem with that, Chief?
No, sir, not at all. I think it's about time. That cat's one hell of a pilot. Here she is, one Hellcat 5. She's prepped, primed, loaded, locked, and ready to kick some ass.
Thanks. What about ordnance?
It's all taken care of. The captain downloads the mission specs to me. I dope out the weapons requirements, so you're set to go.
Oh yeah?
In the future, Colonel, you have the option of choosing your own weapons. Or you can trust my judgment and fly with my default loadout. I promise, Colonel, never to disappoint.
That is so fucking cool. I've never seen that before.
Yes, it's like I'm like that right there, man. It's like, man, that was like one of the best scenes up in the movie. It did just like way on up there. That's when I was like, when I first saw it, I'm just like, she looks familiar. I'm just like, and it took me a second. And I'm just like, that's just Lynn. Like, oh man, she's in this game right here.
It was, what was really interesting about working on that was it was my first time with green screen. And it's hard because you have to imagine everything that's there. There's no real ship there. There's no weapons. And so everything is pretend. And I had some difficulties with that in the beginning. And Patrick, I have to tell you something really quickly.
Yes.
I hope it doesn't make you uncomfortable. You're fucking sexy.
Oh, thank you very much. Shit, I'm loving it. You know? I try to keep myself in the shape and things like that. You know, hell, I'm saying trying to get all my stuff down. You know, I'm trying to keep this.
Nice. Now I hadn't even seen your biceps yet, and I knew that you were sexy. You got a really good energy, and I'm enjoying doing the show with you. So I just thought
thank you very much. I am flattered. Man,
You are very welcome.
Ginger Lynn just complimented the hell out of me, man. My dreams are true. My prayers have been answered.
I'm going to make another comeback starring you and me.
Hey, let's do it. I would be more than willing, man. True.
Do you think that you would be one of those guys that walked out and had no difficulty getting your dick up in front of everybody else, or do you think you'd be a little bit intimidated?
Well, I wouldn't have no problem with that right there. It's just that, like I'm saying, like the actual, like like the performing on like the porn level and things like that, like, man, I've talked to many people like that, and it's like, yeah, that's way different than I'm saying, the just average normal sex right there,
Yeah. Well, if you want to get into the industry, tell me, I'll hook you up.
Yeah, like I said, that would be something on the bucket list right there, to do. I'm saying to do one scene right there, but I don't think I could make a career out of it. But it's like, man, if I ever could.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's like watching that scene right there is just like seeing you talk, like I said, it's like you're just a natural born actress right there. It's just like it just comes with you, like, man.
Thank you so much, because in all honesty, while I was watching it, as I said, I'd never seen it before. I was thinking in my head, I should have slowed down my dialogue. I should have been more in charge. And so I, rather than just enjoying it, had to critique myself.
Yeah, it's like I'm saying, you clicked in everything in all those whole entire scenes right there. It's like I said, I know that was very most fun right there. So now, like I'm saying, like basically where you at, like you're still, I'm saying you're still like like doing like things mainly like OnlyFans, but it's like like how much how much thing are you basically doing right now? Besides you doing like OnlyFans, you do like art as well. So it's like,
I do my OnlyFans, and it's free to join if you want to follow me. It's onlyfans.com/blameItOnGinger. And that's my Instagram name is Blame It On Ginger. That's my Twitter name, or X, or whatever you want to call it. It's always Blame It On Ginger. And what were we talking about again?
Yeah, and links is down in the description box below. So it's like yeah, well, also like like you do like your live stream.
Oh, what else am I doing? So yeah, I do OnlyFans. I also do Sex Panther.
Mhm.
Those are kind of like my little bonus side things, because I love sex. I always have. I've always been a very sexual person, and I have a lot of fun on OnlyFans. But that's not all of me. I have a website. I paint. I've been painting for about 35 years. Acrylic
Oh,
on
nice.
canvas. I design jewelry. I have 4 films that I've been cast in that I haven't shot yet this year, and I just got another offer today, but I haven't read the script yet. So my life is full. I'm always doing something, and I would get bored if I just stayed in one lane. I like to switch up. I like to go from my OnlyFans to a mainstream movie set. I like to get out a canvas and smoke a joint, put on some music, and then I choose my colors, because I between the music and the weed, I'm just feeling good, and painting, I get lost in it.
So all the
So
creative juices just start flowing just right there, just clicking.
absolutely.
Yeah. Are you still doing like the podcast, like thing with Christy Kenyon?
No, you know what was weird about that? What was difficult about it? Christy and I had a podcast. It was called Who Let the Dogs Out?
Mhm.
We did, I think, 111 episodes, and there wasn't really any place to put it. We went with Patreon, and what they did was they basically hid the podcast. If you typed in the search engine Ginger Lynn Allen, nothing came up. If you typed in Christy Canyon, nothing came up. If you typed in the name of the podcast, Who Let the Girls Out, nothing came up. So unless you had a direct link to our podcast, you couldn't find it. And Christy and I have this gift of being 12 again when we're together. We're like young girls going, I'll do this if you do it. I dare you. I double dog dare you. And we did some of the most outrageous, wild, fun, sexy, nasty things, but we didn't know where to market it. So we couldn't put it up on YouTube. There was one episode that I use as an example as to how weird and wonderful we are together.
Mhm.
And so somebody sent me this big giant jar of pickled eggs. And I had this brilliant idea that I would lay eggs. So I put three pickled eggs in a condom, and I put them inside my pussy. And I got up on the table, and I started going, "Mom, mom, mom," and I'm laying it, and I'm pushing the eggs out. So I was literally butt naked on top of my dining room table, walking like a chicken and letting eggs fall. And it was hysterical and fun and silly and crazy and sexy. And I don't think the world is ready for Christy and I yet. Still, you know.
At least Patreon wasn't right there, and I think they basically did that because they know you're like well-known porn stars, and Patreon for some reason like they were really iffy about their whole entire thing.
They don't know which fucking direction, you know. They're just trying to please everybody all the time and not giving a fuck about what they really think they should be putting up or not. So no, we don't do our podcast anymore, but we see each other. We talk every day, at least twice a day. I go back to LA. I live in Vegas now, and I stay with her. She comes out to Vegas and stays with me. And we've got some other things in the works. One of the I'm working on my book right now. I'm 220 pages into it, and it's fun filled, and just the stories are wonderful, and you don't know what's going to happen next. And Christy and I, we're getting a place together in Lake Las Vegas in about 2 years, just because we have other commitments prior to that. But we are going to write a book together. We're going to, because we have her book that she put out, Lights, Camera, Sex. It was 30 years ago, and mine's just coming out now. And so we're kind of going to merge the past with the present and see if people are ready for us now.
Oh yeah, many people are definitely ready for Ginger Lynn and Christy Kane.
Right?
Maybe not some of those people. Maybe not some of those people like that on Patreon, but I know people like me and everybody else that's in the audience right there. Oh, we're definitely ready for you, and then some.
Good.
So I look forward to that right there. But we're coming up on, I'm saying, on the top of that hour right there. So I just want to say, Ginger, once again, it is a great pleasure having you right here. Like I said, you just made this guy's dreams come true, man. I'm talking to such a wonderful, legendary person that you're like, oh my God, man.
I just want to wrap my arms and my legs around you and give you the biggest hug right now.
Oh, I will take that and then some. Hopefully one day we meet up and you can actually do that.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that, Patrick. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed talking to you and getting to know you a little bit better, and I appreciate it. And just so you know, you've got my phone number and my email, so don't be shy. Stay in touch.
Oh yeah, I will, especially when it comes to things like this, and want to talk to you about. I'm saying, many things in the future. Maybe one day we'll do this again, and we'll actually be like I'm saying, side by side each other, and we can do.
That would be wonderful.
We could do something outside of you two. Like, oh, okay, let's do one of those wild things right here. Like I'm saying, like I'm here with Ginger Lynn right here, and oh my God, I got a tit.
You're adorable. You're absolutely adorable.
But once again, thank you. So once again, like I'm saying, where can our audience find you?
You can find me on X. It's Twitter. I don't know how to say at the beginning. Blame It on Ginger is my handle on Twitter, on Instagram, on OnlyFans. So if you remember that whenever you do something that you get in trouble for, you just have to go, Ginger did it. It's Ginger's fault. So blame it on Ginger. Oh, and you know what? The other thing I want to mention is if you're interested in my artwork, my jewelry design, it's gingerlynnart.com.
Yeah, I have that in the description box below too. So everybody, like I said, if you check that right there, that's where you mainly, I'm saying, can get into contact with her and everything. Like I said, Ginger Lynn, wonderful person. I'm so glad that we had this, we had this stream right here and things like that. It's just like I said, once again, it's a dream come true.
Thank you, Patrick. That means a lot to me. I've had a really good time, and I wish you all the best. You do a nice podcast, and I hope that you get all of your dreams come true.
All right, thank you very much. And everybody knows where they can catch me right there. Like I am Patrick. You can catch me on X at IBPatrick 24/7, as well as anywhere that you can know on stuff at. Like I'm just now beginning like a new Twitch channel where I do a lot of gaming over there. Like I said, besides doing this right here, I play a lot of games and whatever. Just basically just all right, have fun. So, man, once again, thank you to the wonderful, sexy, and legendary Miss Ginger Lynn for hanging out with us. And until we see y'all again, it's always me basically saying, keep on, sparkle on, everybody. Peace.